Blessed ones, peace and praise. Welcome to The Vibe. So, I said I'll probably be back in a couple days after my last episode, and here I am, just a few days later. I know a lot of, and I say this all the time because I feel like as people who have, whether this is your first time listening or multiple times listening, those who have really rocked with me from whenever, it could be last week, from the beginning, 5 years, 8 years ago, on my other podcast, I feel like I always have to, say like, hey, I mean, I'm not as consistent. I know there's a lot of top big podcasts out here who do 2 episodes a week. Some even do 5 a week. Some do it every day. Me, like I said, I have made it, it's almost like I'm treating this as a hobby, and it's not really a hobby of mine. I do enjoy podcasts, and this is something that I, eventually want to do for a living. And I do it for a living, but I'm just saying, like, I do want it to, branch out, maybe get, something back from it. And that's really what I want to discuss today, is just like we have a narrative, and I said this on multiple episodes. We have a narrative, and this is also another reason what this show will always be about, no matter how many times I rebrand. But the sole thing, and I've said this before, is to change the narrative, to show a different narrative. But there's a narrative that genuine people should be humble. Genuine people should do it because they're genuine, and you don't have to remind people. You don't have to, bring it up. And I disagree, but in essence, I understand it. Because I'm going to say this. There's people who know me personally. There's people who knows my family. There's people who might just know me. There's people who just know me and my son. There's people who work with me. There's people who I've done things with like multiple times, and don't know me. But I do feel like we do what's in our heart. As far as I'm concerned, that's how I see people. And that's how I see myself. I'm not going to do anything that's not in my heart. Whether it's right or wrong. Because I have done wrong things. And there's been things that I've done wrong that I knew was wrong when I did it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I did something extreme. I never killed anybody. I never robbed a bank. I never sexually assaulted anybody. But I have done things that I deemed as wrong. And in all fairness, there's been people who might have said that the things that I've done that was wrong were not wrong. Other people, but it's like for me, because I'm just about moving in good character and walking in faith at all times. And just for me personally, It's not in my heart to harm anybody. It's not in my heart to offend anyone. I mean, that's something that's going to be inevitable. It's like projection. But it's just certain things that I think about and certain things that I say, man, how can I... And that's the thing about communicating with different people, different walks of life, or even people who come from where you're from. But I think communication is absolutely key, and we have to be authentic. I mean, and I'm gonna say this as well because again, I'm big on that as well. Where there's actors out here, there's celebrities, there's people who do content, create content, and sometimes it's just they do things just for the sake of content, just for things to be provocative and controversial and to spark conversation, which is fine. Like I said, that's what podcast is, that's what making music is, that's what doing movies and stuff is to tell a story and to have people feel something. However, I'm not gonna tell somebody how they should present their art, but I just want better understanding, and I want to be able to be like, all right, look, if you are creating content, is this meant to be something taken seriously? Is this just something to entertain us? Is this something to make us laugh? Is this something to make us cry? Is this something like, that's really what I'm about. I'm not saying you have to say it, but there has to be some sort of something to the Lord where we can identify it without you having to say it. And there's a number of reasons why I have said that. But one current instant is there's been a lot of talk about AI. There's always been talks about comedians and them being taking things seriously, like, because I said this again on multiple times where comedians, hey, they can be an exception to certain things, but I feel like we all have to be held to a certain regard when it comes to certain things, or at least what it means to certain people. Everybody's not going to take what you take seriously as serious. However, there's that underlying point there. Just like some things that are meant to be funny aren't funny to everybody. But one thing, like I said, I want to, because like I said, I'm going to be fast. This is going to be, I'm not going to make any promises. But I'm jaded with a lot of things. And like I said, I do my social media breaks, I do my internet breaks, because we got to also keep in mind that social media is part of the internet, but it's not all the internet. Social media is still, years, like still, and like not new, but from the time the internet was created. I remember because when I was in elementary school, I remember being on the internet. That's when they had the Apple and Macintosh. I remember when the computer used to talk. It was such a big thing. I remember when Macintosh was out and I was on the internet. I used to be on WWE.com. I used to, this is like pre-YouTube. And then here comes social media, maybe 10 years later, just to my knowledge, maybe 10 years later, that's when social media kind of became, known. They first, they had, Black Planet, MySpace, Tag, YouTube even came out. And then now, now it's really just TikTok, Instagram, Facebook is still, running. But the thing is, I do my breaks every now and then, because I think we all need to take a step away from that. Because, like I said, everybody looks at it in a different way. Everybody uses it for different things. I'm not going to sit here and say that social media ruins relationships. I'm not going to say that, social media isn't real life, because it's just a public forum. Like if you're using something to communicate with people, you have to remember, like, if I'm sitting here talking to someone online, but because it's on social media, I shouldn't take what they say, because people lie in real life in person as well. It's just like when you used to be on those group chats and you might say, yeah, I'm such and such, and you really a catfish, or you're really this. Like, people play games in real life too. So it's just like, because again, I come from the time where, like, again, I'm a millennial, so I have experienced house phones, pagers, no camera, cell phones, and knocking on people's doors, asking if they can come out and play, just as much as I've experienced, I'm gonna DM somebody. Hey, I'm gonna take a quick snapshot, try to post it up. I even remember, like, I was early on the forums, YouTubes and all these things. Like, I done had multiple accounts. Like, it's sometimes so, because even like my old email, which is still active now, was like 2004. So like for like my first email, YoungBlair2004 at yahoo.com. And I know some people still have used their first email they ever had. I mean, I have Gmail now, and, like, again, Hotmail, AOL, AIM. Like, I remember these things. I remember these type of platforms. And even before, like I said this before, podcast is also a thing. Some people might say it's declining now because everybody's doing it. Other people might feel like it's still growing. But it's like, before podcasts were podcasting, I used to, like, me and my brothers, like, we used to have recorders, like tape recorders. The only difference is, we couldn't, put it, like, publicly release it. We just have it, like, tape recorded. But again, podcast, you gotta remember what a podcast is. But my thing is just like, how does that correlate with, people being genuine and, really not being able to, really put people in their place sometimes? Because social media and the internet, or blah, 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 there's so many people now fabricating truths and are entertained by drama, negativity. The people who are genuine, and again, this has been going on even before the internet, but people who are really genuine, they may not be getting the love and appreciation that they deserve. But it goes back again to, like I said, just like being the fruit of the Spirit, long suffering, loving, caring, just being very intentional. So sometimes I think it, because again, I'm on social media, if we put so much emphasis on that aspect, then I will say yes. The genuine people who actually use it for intentional purposes may not get the credit or the love that they deserve, but we never genuine people consider people who don't never did. Again, like I said, Jesus' people sold him out and put him on the cross. So this is something that's been going on for centuries. So I really want to just remind people. Now again, I'm not even giving y'all the scripture today, because because like I said, when I do my podcast, sometimes I just do it on the fly. I'm like, okay, I got my laptop, I got my phone, or wherever, however I record. I'm like, hey, I want to put this. I want to share this with, on a broader scale, because like I said, I do my YouTube videos. I be on Facebook. I be on Instagram. I do these talks. So I talk. I'm a writer, so I always have some thoughts and views on certain things, but I try my best not to express my opinion as much anymore. It's just more so observations. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this. We always say, go where we're appreciated, not tolerated. Go where we're celebrated, not tolerated. Which is true. But I always say it's like, sometimes we gotta get out of our comfort zone. When you, if you want acceptance in a toxic environment, you're going to get that toxic capacity. So if you want, and again, there's a lot of that in church as well. So this doesn't have anything to do with, whether you go to church, whether you not go to church. But it's like, sometimes you have to find your village. Sometimes you have to, you're within the people within your circle currently, or people in your village. Sometimes you may have to ask. You may have to be able to, identify who you are to people, who they are to you. Like, I have a small circle, but a big village. Meaning, I know the people who I can call on to help me with my son. I know who I can call if I might need to hold something. It's not always likely, but I know who I can call. That's the village. And then there's my social circle. Because I don't really have a business. I still work a regular 9-to-5 job. I don't really have a lot of business associates right now. So, like I said, and I have a friend who I speak to all the time, and we always talk about, being in these spaces, just like, hey, we have to remember to, sometimes we might have to make that decision on our own and be like, look, this ain't working for me, I'm going to go over here. Now, we should never isolate ourselves or, be in solitary confinement. Like, you do have to, spend some time by yourself and with God and stuff, but that's not really the same as isolation. However, you do need to have a balance. So, with that said, again, sometimes there's really nothing like I don't have anything deep or much to say. I just wanted to come up here and remind you that sometimes when you're fed up by not being appreciated, by not being loved, by not being celebrated the way that you may think or believe you deserve, then that's where you have to go and find or create that village. Y'all stay safe, stay positive, productive, and positive. This is Blair. I'm out.